All right, a couple of people have asked us, how often we maintain that deep litter bedding here, meaning how often we add bedding, how often we clean it out, and how all of that pretty much works. And the way we're doing it, maybe to get started, we filled the hutch up until here approximately with dirt. So that's all just, the clay-based soil we have here in Georgia. And then we added a thin layer of bedding. In our case, we use pine shavings. There is no right or wrong answer. Some people believe that pine shavings are not good for rabbits, but they've been working perfectly fine for us. They're kiln dried. They're not incredibly dusty. And that's what we use because they're relatively inexpensive. We can get them quickly and easily, and we also use them for the chickens. And so that's what we do. And how often we add the bedding really depends a little bit on how many rabbits we have in a given hutch. And, we go by how it looks and how it smells. Obviously, ideally, it shouldn't smell at all. But as we see that it gets soiled, we just add a thin layer of pine shavings. And we've gotten to a cadence where if we have a breeding pair with kids inside, then we add the pine shavings once a week. So we go in and we keep adding. And as you can see, there's only so much bedding that you can add because at some point it's going to be so high that the door is not going to close anymore. And so what we do now is we remove the top layer maybe once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks, again depending on how many rabbits we have in there, and then we add a thin layer on. And sometimes we just go in and remove a little bit more of the bedding, of the old bedding, so we have more room to grow and we don't have to remove anything every week. And that's pretty much what we do. It's fairly easy to do, it's fairly quick. There are certain areas in the hutch that require maybe some more bedding. Our rabbits tend to use a given spot where they pee and poop. Very often that's close to the feed, and so that's where we add a little bit more. And if there are areas where there's nothing soiled, we don't add anything. The idea just is that we counteract the poop and the urine with the bedding so it gets absorbed, it doesn't smell, and the risk of parasites, is kept in check. And so that's really all we do. And in this case here, if you look inside, it's all fairly dry. There is nothing wet. There's not a whole lot of, poop. Obviously there's some old one from, as the bedding goes down here. But in this case, we wouldn't really add anything. Right now, there are 5 baby bunnies here in the tunnel. And, but yeah, this looks fairly good. If we then walk over to the other hutch, we see where we have to add some. And usually the kids do this on a Tuesday. As of this recording, it's Monday, so tomorrow they would do this. Actually, now here it looks pretty good too. There's only a breeding duo in here. So only 2 rabbits there right now underground because they're probably too hot. And in this case we wouldn't add anything. We just leave it as it is. And let's check the third hutch and see if that's more soil. I suspect it's a little bit more soil because they have 20 kids in there right now, so 2 litters, and they're both still nursing, so we cannot remove them yet. But if we look here, for example, you can actually see the babies here on the back if you look close. Mom decided to build her nest outside. Oh, there is actually one crawling around, look at that. One is adventurous. They are maybe a week old, and that's the buck coming here to the camera right now. And we always we typically keep the bucks inside, and they've never had any issues with the little ones. There is no aggression whatsoever. He's actually a very good boy. But if we look here in the corner where the water nipples are, and here it's wet, here there's poop accumulated. Here we would actually add some pine shavings on top, just to keep everything clean. But yeah, for us, again, it's a once a week kind of affair. Takes maybe 5 to 10 minutes to add the bedding to all the 3 hutches. And that is it. That's how we keep our hutches sanitary. We have not had any issue with disease whatsoever. So whatever we are doing appears to be working. Let's see if we can grab that little one here for a second, huh? Let's see if we can grab this guy. Because you don't even see yet, huh? You don't even see it. You can only smell where you are. To get used to our smell buddy. Look at this guy. Aren't they cute at that age? My wife always says the only reason why we continue with rabbits is because they're so cute when they're babies. Even though they also produce a ton of meat. As you can tell, there are 10 underneath here. There you go. Troll back to your buddies. And the little ones. Alrighty. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Fairly straightforward. Once a week, again, depending on how many rabbits you have in there, just add some bedding on top every so often when it gets too full. Remove some of the top layer. I recommend, if you build an above the ground hutch like we do here, to don't add too much dirt, and so leave enough room, or make the openings a little bit higher so you have really enough room to add bedding and you don't have to remove as much. And that is pretty much it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, send it to someone who might benefit from it. Until next time.